Have you ever wondered how an ancient city, bustling with over 1 million people, managed to get water to the top of its many hills? It seems like a simple puzzle with a difficult answer. Water, as we all know, stubbornly flows downhill. It follows gravity without question. Yet the Romans, who built their magnificent city of Rome upon 7 famous hills, needed water not just in the low valleys but up high, where the grand temples, luxurious villas, and crowded apartment blocks stood. This was not a small problem. It was the central challenge that would determine whether their city could grow into a sprawling metropolis or remain a small riverside settlement forever limited by nature's simple rules. The early inhabitants of Rome relied on the Tiber River, local springs, and wells dug deep into the earth. But as the city's population swelled, these sources became insufficient and often polluted. Imagine the daily struggle of carrying heavy clay pots filled with water up steep, winding streets. It was a tiring, time-consuming chore that fell upon the shoulders of women, children, and slaves. For the city to expand, to become cleaner, healthier, and more magnificent, the Romans needed a revolutionary solution. They had to find a way to make water defy its natural course and travel not just into the city, but all around it, reaching every corner and citizen. The Romans were above all practical people. They were engineers and problem solvers. They looked at the challenge not as an impossible barrier, but as a puzzle to be solved with stone, mathematics, and sheer determination. Their answer was not to fight gravity, but to master it. They understood that if you could find a source of water high up in the distant hills, you could guide it on a long, gentle slope all the way into the heart of the city. This simple idea was the seed of one of the ancient world's greatest technological achievements, one that would transform Roman life and cement the city's reputation for centuries to come. This fundamental problem of urban living, how to provide a constant, clean supply of water, was what pushed Roman innovation to its limits. They needed more than just water for drinking. They envisioned a city where water was abundant, a symbol of their power and sophistication. They dreamed of public baths for thousands, ornate fountains that splashed in public squares, and even private running water for the wealthiest citizens. To make this dream a reality, they would have to build on a scale never seen before, creating a network that would become the lifeblood of their empire's capital. The Roman solution was the aqueduct. The word itself simply means to lead water in Latin, but the structures were anything but simple. These were not just bridges for water. They were vast, intricate systems that stretched for miles across the countryside. Roman engineers would venture far from the city, sometimes over 50 miles away, to find pure springs high in the mountains. Their first task was to calculate the precise path the water would need to take. The aqueduct channel had to have a very slight, continuous downward slope. If the slope was too steep, the water would rush too fast and erode the stone. If it was too gentle, the water would stagnate. These engineers used simple tools with incredible skill. They used the chorobates, a long wooden plank with a water level, to ensure the gradient was perfect over long distances. They used a groma for laying out right angles. For most of their journey, the water channels were actually built underground, as tunnels cut through hills or covered trenches. This protected the water from contamination and prevented evaporation under the hot Italian sun. The iconic towering arches that we associate with aqueducts were only used when the channel had to cross a low valley or a river. These bridges were masterpieces of engineering, built with stone, brick, and a new wonder material, Roman concrete. Once the water reached the edge of the city, it flowed into massive distribution tanks called castella aquae. These were like huge water towers, often built on the highest ground. From these main tanks, a complex network of lead and terracotta pipes branched out, snaking beneath the streets to deliver water to different parts of the city. The system was cleverly designed to prioritize supply. In times of drought, the pipes leading to less essential places, like private villas or ornamental fountains, would be the first to run dry. This ensured that the public fountains, which provided drinking water for the masses, would be the last to stop flowing, a true testament to their civic-minded planning. Think of it like a giant plumbing system for an entire city. The aqueducts were the main pipes bringing water from the source, the castella were the junction boxes, and the smaller pipes were the wiring that carried the water to its final destination. By the height of the empire, 11 major aqueducts supplied Rome with over 1 billion liters of water every single day. This was more water per person than many modern cities have today. This incredible feat of engineering was not just practical. It was a powerful statement. The aqueducts marching across the landscape were a visible symbol of Rome's ability to tame nature and provide for its people. The arrival of so much water completely transformed daily life for the average Roman. Suddenly, water was no longer a scarce resource that had to be hauled up hills. It was a public gift, available to everyone. All over the city, hundreds of public fountains, or lacus, were built. These were simple, functional basins, where anyone could come to collect water for drinking, cooking, and washing. They became social hubs, places where neighbors would meet and exchange news while filling their jars. The constant flow of fresh water also helped to flush away waste from the streets, making the city a much cleaner and healthier place to live. Beyond basic needs, the abundance of water fueled a culture of public bathing that was uniquely Roman. Enormous public bath complexes, known as thermae, were built throughout the city. These were not just places to get clean, they were vast recreational centers. For a very small entrance fee, a citizen could spend the afternoon enjoying hot, warm, and cold pools, as well as gyms, libraries, gardens, and food stalls. The baths were central to Roman social life, places where people from different social classes could mix, relax, and conduct business. This culture of public hygiene and leisure would have been impossible without the constant, massive supply of water from the aqueducts. The water also added beauty and luxury to the city. Wealthy Romans with houses, or domus, located on the water supply lines could pay a special tax to have running water piped directly into their homes. Imagine having your own private fountain in your courtyard garden or a personal bath in your villa. It was the ultimate status symbol. Even for those who couldn't afford a private connection, the city itself was decorated with grand, ornamental fountains that served no purpose other than to be beautiful. These magnificent structures, often adorned with statues of gods and heroes, were a constant reminder of the city's wealth and the emperor's generosity to his people. This easy access to water had a profound impact on public health. Before the aqueducts, people relied on river water that was often contaminated with sewage, leading to widespread disease. The fresh spring water brought by the aqueducts was much cleaner, drastically reducing waterborne illnesses like cholera and typhoid. By providing clean drinking water, flushing the sewers, and encouraging personal hygiene through the baths, the Roman water system was one of the most effective public health initiatives in the ancient world. It allowed the city's population to grow safely, ensuring its continued dominance. The Roman water system was what made the city of Rome truly special and famous. While other civilizations built great monuments, no one else managed to engineer a city on such a grand scale with this level of public service. The aqueducts and the culture of water they supported were a source of immense civic pride. Roman authors wrote poems about them. Emperors repaired and built new ones to gain favor with the public, and the structures themselves became enduring symbols of Roman power and ingenuity. A city with splashing fountains and colossal baths was a city that had mastered its environment, a true capital of the world. This mastery of water engineering was not just confined to Rome. As the empire expanded, the Romans took their knowledge with them, building aqueducts, baths, and sewer systems in cities from Britain to North Africa. You can still see the magnificent remains of these structures today, like the Pont du Gard in France or the Aqueduct of Segovia in Spain. These ruins are not just piles of old stones, they are monuments to a way of thinking. They show us that the Romans invested heavily in infrastructure that improved the daily lives of ordinary people, a key reason for their long-lasting success and the relative stability of their empire. Even after the fall of the Roman Empire, the principles of their water management system did not disappear. Many aqueducts fell into disrepair, but the knowledge was preserved in texts and rediscovered during the Renaissance. The very idea of using gravity to move water over long distances to supply a large population remains the foundation of many modern water systems. When our own civil engineers design pipelines and reservoirs today, they are following in the footsteps of their Roman predecessors. The tools have changed, but the fundamental concepts of gradient, pressure, and distribution are timeless. So when we look at the ruins of a Roman aqueduct, we should see more than just an ancient bridge. We should see the answer to the puzzle of how to make water flow uphill. We are looking at a brilliant solution that made a huge city livable, kept its people healthy, and gave them a quality of life unmatched in the ancient world. It reminds us that solving practical problems with smart, ambitious engineering can change society in profound ways. The legacy of the Romans flows, quite literally, through history, teaching us that the most vital innovations are often the ones that serve the basic needs of the people.